Hello, I'm live again, and this time hopefully our technology will not fail. So welcome. I will try to repeat the class that I did Tuesday evening, and it won't probably be exactly the same because I'm not that good at remembering. So if we just begin in a seated position, just have the legs out in front, just settle, removing any flesh from underneath the sit bones, and just place the hands either side for support. Just taking a moment to allow the breath to settle. And we're going to start bringing the attention to the feet, as we haven't really visited the feet in depth so far on the live feeds. So we're just going to have the feet pointed up towards the ceiling, and we're going to start with a movement of just the toes, so just curling the toes away and then flexing them back towards the face. Just take a few rounds of that. You might find that it's quite hard to manipulate the toes separately from the feet, but again, that's muscle memory, and that improves with more practice you put into it. So curling and flexing into the toes. And now starting to take the movement into the rest of the foot, so pointing and then flexing the whole foot, so the movement's in the ankle joint now. And then from here, just take the feet wide enough so you've got space to circle the ankles. So taking them round in a circle, doesn't matter which direction. And then just change the direction you're circling in. And then slowly coming back to stillness, keeping the back straight. So if you have a hard time with the backs being straight while you're seated, you can always sit on a block or any other item that's similar. Taking the hands behind the thigh with the knee bent, we're going to work at the knee joint, just straightening and bending into the leg. Now you don't have to be taking your leg up as high as I am. You might straighten the leg and bend in like this, so the hips working as well here. If you've got a bit more space in the hamstring, you want more of a stretch, holding that thigh a bit more still and just bending and straightening at the knee joint. And the leg doesn't have to entirely straighten in this movement. You might not be able to get it completely straight. And next time the leg is in its straight position, holding it there and keeping the upper part of the leg as still as possible, just circling at the knee. Obviously there's going to be some movement into the hip because the knee isn't a ball and socket joint and it doesn't travel round in a circle, so you are going to be using the hip a little, but take the main focus into the lower leg, reverse the direction. And then coming back to stillness, and then bringing the foot in a bit closer, and either planting the foot on the floor next to the thigh. We're going to lift the knee up and then lower it. If you've got a bit more space in the hips, you might prefer to rest the right foot on top of the left thigh and do this in a half lotus. Don't force the knee. The hand is just guiding it really. You should be able to do it without the hand. The hand is just really there, just for a bit of support. And then just completing that round, taking hold of the right foot in the left hand and holding on towards the right knee. Just take some circles into that right hip. Reversing your direction. And then when ready, either holding around the shin, or if you have the reach with the arms, you might cradle the leg and just rock from side to side. And then releasing off, taking the right leg out, perhaps have a bit of a shake. But just observe if the two legs feel any different at this point. And then we're going to take the movement into the left leg. So bringing in the left leg, bending the knee, holding around the thigh, and then straightening and bending at the knee joint, either in this fashion, with the leg quite low, or you might hold the leg slightly higher, and bend and straighten, purely using the knee. I don't know if the camera's picking up any background noise. If it is, it's my mum listening to the radio in the next room. So don't worry about that. And then just completing the round you're on, and then circling at the knee joint. Take those circles back in the opposite direction. Then bringing the foot in, either resting the foot against the right thigh, and lifting and lowering the knee this way, or you might take it into the half lotus. Just choose the option that works best for you. You might find one hip is more open than the other. I definitely find that. This is my worst side. And then taking it into the hip circle, so holding onto the foot and the knee, and circling into that hip. Taking it back in the opposite direction. And then either holding onto the shin or cradling the leg and just rocking from side to side. And then releasing the leg off, give them a bit of a shake. And then just sit comfortably for you. I'm going to take a cross leg shape. You don't have to take that shape, you can take any shape you like with your legs. Just planting the hands down somewhere comfortable and just take a few body rolls. So you can make these movements as big or as small as you like. You might really want to open up the chest as you come forward and round into the back as you lean backwards. Just getting into the back, sides of the body. those circles back round the opposite way. And then coming back to stillness, resuming your upright position. Just going to come a bit into the shoulders, because we'll be using the arms a fair bit in this practice. So just take the right arm out in front, turn the palm upwards, just resting the fingertips on towards the shoulder, and just circle around. And take a few circles here, and if it feels quite good and the shoulder's feeling quite mobile and lubricated, you might want to make the circles a bit bigger and take more of the body into the movement. So it might really come into the side body. You might be leaning over to the left when you do this. And then take that back the opposite way. And then complete that circle you're on. Take the right arm across the front of the body, holding on to the lower arm with the left hand, pressing the right arm in towards the chest. You might look over the right shoulder. Releasing off. Just reach the right arm out as far to the side as you can, taking it back as far as you can, but keeping the chest forward so it's not a twist. Keep the chest squared towards the front and just open that arm as wide as you can. And then releasing off. Coming into the left side, reaching left arm out in front, turning the palm up, resting fingers on towards the shoulders, and then start the circling at the shoulder. And then again, if this is feeling okay and you want to take it a bit deeper, making this movement a bit more expansive, stretching into the left side of the body. Taking it back the opposite way. Slowly releasing off, taking the left arm across the front of the body, taking the gaze over the left shoulder if comfortable. Coming back centre, and then again on this side, reaching the left arm out to the side, and then keeping the chest square. Just see if you can take the arm back any further, opening across the front of the chest. Might find it quite hard to hold the arm up like this because you're coming into your end of range of movement strength. And then releasing off. We're going to make our way around to a 4-point kneeling now. So taking wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips, and just take a few cat-cow stretches here. So dipping the belly, take the chest through the shoulders, either gazing forward or up. And then as you round back, take the gaze towards the belly button, arching into the whole back. Just allow this movement to happen naturally at your own pace. Just allow the breath to fit into the movement. So I'm not going to necessarily tell you when to breathe in or when to breathe out. See how it happens naturally. going to bring the legs into this movement. So next time we dip into our cow shape, reaching the right leg back behind, maybe slightly up. And as we come into our cat, just bring the knee towards the nose or the forehead, moving between these two shapes and positions. Next time your right leg is out straight behind, holding it there, come onto the left fingertips, reaching the left arm out in front, maybe bending in towards the right knee, reaching the left arm back. You might be able to take the ankle, and if you can reach the ankle, just push the foot a little higher into the hand. The back's probably bending a bit here. And then releasing off, lowering back down towards 4-point kneeling. And then we're coming to the other side. So dipping the chest, left leg goes back, rounding the back, bringing the left knee towards the nose. So your legs in its straight position, holding it there, coming onto right fingertips, finding balance, then maybe reaching the right arm forwards, and then bending in towards the left knee, and just seeing if you can reach the right hand back. If you can't, just stay with this shape. If you can take the ankle and take your tiger pose here. Releasing off, and take the knees as wide as is comfortable for you, and just lower the bottom back towards the heels and lower the forehead down towards the floor. Slowly coming back towards your 4-point kneeling, and then reaching the right leg out behind, toes tucked under, turn the foot parallel with the side of the mat, take the left foot back slightly behind for support, coming onto right fingertips, reaching right arm up towards the ceilings, coming into a side plank variant. You might reach the arm over by the ear, really getting a stretch into the side body. If you want to take it a bit further, you might lift the right leg off of the floor, bringing it parallel with the hip. Lowering right leg down, either weight here, or maybe pick up the left knee and straighten the leg out in front. So this is a bit of strength, so if it doesn't work for you, you don't have to do it. Taking left knee back down, turning back down towards the floor, and then from here, lower the chest and chin down, in between the hands, and just lower yourself all the way down towards the floor. I'm going to take 3 baby cobras from here. So I am going to instruct the breath on this, but again, obviously, if it doesn't fit in with how you like to do things, breathe in your own way. So take a breath in and lift, breathing out to lower. You can lift the hands or leave them down, breathing in to lift, breathing out to lower, breathing in to lift, breathing out to lower, moving back towards your 4-point kneeling. I'm going to swap sides so you can see me. Taking left leg back behind, turning foot parallel with the side of the mat, Take the right foot slightly behind for balance. Come onto left fingertips, reaching left arm up towards the ceiling. And maybe over by the ear. Wanting to take it further, picking up that left leg, taking it parallel with the hip. Lowering left leg down. Option, just staying here, or you might pick up the right leg and straighten it out in front of you. Lowering right knee back down. Coming back down towards 4-point kneeling. Again, lower chest and chin down towards the floor. Taking the feet back behind. This time take the elbows underneath the shoulders. Coming into a Sphinx pose. Shoulders away from ears. So imagine you're pulling the chest through the shoulders. Engaging into your glute muscles, your abdominal muscles. And if comfortable, you might want to rock the hips from side to side, or you might look over one shoulder and the other. Coming back centre, taking the hands underneath the shoulders, moving back through 4-point kneeling. This time keeping the toes tucked and lifting up into our first downward facing dog. So from your downward dog, take any movements that feel good here. So if pedaling the feet feels good, take that. Might want to bend the knees and push the chest towards the legs before straightening it out. Aiming the heels down towards the floor. Going to take a bit of a plank flow here. So the options are, if this is too strong, you can do it on the knees. And just moving between your child pose and your half plank. So that's one option. If you want to take it from downward dog, be in your downward dog, you just move forward into your plank and then move back towards your downward facing dog. And then back towards downward facing dog. Take the feet about as wide as the mat. Turn the toes out slightly and just start to walk the hands back towards the feet. And start to bend the knees. I'm going to take our first squat. It's coming into yogi squat. Now if squatting is not comfortable for you or you have a hard time in it, it's a good thing to have a block. You might place it underneath the bottom. Takes the pressure out of it. Or if you have a hard time with the heels coming up, you might want to place it underneath the heels. If you're comfortable in your squat, just using the elbows to just push the knees apart, aiming the back towards being as straight as you can here. You might want to gently rock from side to side. And then slowly coming back to stillness, planting the hands down towards the floor, and then coming into a forward fold, squaring the feet so the toes are facing forwards. Maybe picture frame the head with the hands. That's rocking from side to side. Checking in your knees aren't hyperextending here, so having a soft knee rather than a hyperextended knee. We're going to make our way up to standing from here. Just take the hands towards the shins, lifting the chest, taking a flat back position. And then slowly taking hands to hips and moving to an upright standing position. Take a moment, settle, and then we'll move through a sun salute or two, just generating a bit more heat into the body. So from here, sun towards the top of the mat, toes touching, heels slightly separated. If it works better for you to have the feet a bit further apart, then take that. Opening the chest, tucking the tailbone, hands forwards. And then breathing, taking the arms up, touching palms together, looking towards the thumbs. Breathe out, folding down towards the floor. Bend the knees if you need to. Breathe in, lifting the chest, taking a flat back. And then take the feet back towards a plank. You can drop down towards the knees, or you might lower yourself all the way down towards the floor. Taking either baby cobra or sphinx, or maybe you might want to take a slightly higher cobra here. Lowering down, tucking the toes, and then finding your way back towards downward facing dog. Take about 3 breaths here. Looking to the space between the hands, bending into the knees, bringing the feet up towards the top end of the mat, lifting the chest, making a flat back, folding down towards the floor, coming up, taking the arms up, touching the palms together, and then hands back down by the side. Taking another one of those, perhaps a bit quicker this time, taking arms up, palms touch, folding down towards the floor, making a flat back for you. You might step or you might hop the feet back, coming in towards chaturanga this time, moving maybe to an upward dog, rolling over the toes towards a downward facing dog. So once in your downward facing dog, picking the right leg up, taking the leg up towards the ceiling, bending the knee and opening the hip. Just checking that your shoulders are still square. Maybe look under your left shoulder and try and see your right toes. You might not see them, but the intention of that will help to square the shoulders. I'm going to take 3 circles into the right hip. So just rolling around 1, 2, 3, and square the hips, bringing the right foot to the space between the hands, lowering down towards the left knee, coming into a low lunge here. I'm going to work between straightening and bending this leg a few times. So really working into the hamstring here. And then meeting with the bent knee, planting left hand in towards the floor, reaching right arm up, simple twist. Bringing right hand down towards the right knee. Turn the right foot out sideways so the foot is facing off the side of the mat. Perhaps roll a bit more on towards the left hip. Quite a strong hip opener here. You might gently rest the hand on towards the right knee. You might gaze over the right shoulder. If you want to take this a bit further, be mindful of your left knee here. You might bend the knee, take the hand back, holding on towards the ankle. Releasing the foot if you took it, turning down towards the floor, tuck the back toes, and then make your way back towards your downward facing dog, holding there. Then lifting left leg up towards the ceiling, bending the knee, opening the hip, squaring the shoulders, maybe gaze under the right armpit, and then taking those 3 circles into the left hip, taking 1, 2, 3. Squaring up the hips again, stepping the left foot through, lower down towards the right knee, back in towards our low lunge, and then coming between our lunge and our half split here. The knees in its bent position, holding there, planting right hand, reaching left arm up towards the ceiling, bringing left hand down, placing it on towards left knee, turning left foot out to the side, coming down towards the right hip, maybe take the gaze over the left shoulder, option again if it's there for you, bending into that right knee, taking the ankle, lowering the leg down, turning back down towards the floor, tuck the back toes, and then find your downward facing dog again. Looking towards the space between the hands, coming onto the toes, bending the knees, step or maybe hop the feet towards the top of the mat. Breathing, lifting the chest, folding down. Slowly coming up, taking the arms up towards the ceiling, touching palms, breathing out. Moving into a balance sequence from here. So starting off just finding some grounding, so having the feet in towards the floor, bringing your attention to the feet, lifting all of the toes, spreading them and just lowering them back down. And then taking your left hand towards your left hip, bending in towards the right knee, and just bringing the right knee up. You might hold around the shin, you might prefer to hold the back of the thigh, whatever feels better for you. You might even prefer to hook on towards the big toe, and then start working that leg towards being straight. And then, either with a bent or straight leg, just start to guide that right leg out towards the side. You'll do something a little bit challenging here. Leaving the right leg where it is, either with the knee bent or leg straight, to see if you can let go. Bending into the knee, bringing it back into centre, lowering down, shaking it out, grounding again in towards the left side, so lifting the toes up, lowering them down. Take right hand on towards right hip, bending in towards left knee, and then bringing the knee up in towards the chest, checking in the back is still straight here. And then there's the option to take hold of the big toe, when you might keep the leg quite bent, or you might be able to find a straight leg. Guiding that leg out towards the side, opening the chest, and then from here just letting go with the left hand, see if you can hold it, a bit wobbly, bending the knee, and then lowering back down. Come through a flow, so take a breath in, reaching the arms up, folding down towards the floor, breathing in, lifting the chest, and then taking the feet back, either stepping or jumping, lowering down towards the floor, moving through your favourite back bend, and then back towards your downward facing dog. Taking about 3 breaths, take any movement that feels good here. If you'd rather be in stillness, then be still. If you want to take movement, just do that. looking towards the top of the mat, bending the knees, step or jump, breathing in, lifting the chest, breathing out to fold. And then we're going to stay in our fold here. I'm going to separate the feet to around hip distance. I'm going to turn so I'm facing you. And then from here, planting the right hand down on towards the floor. So if you need to bend the knees to reach down, go ahead and bend the knees. We're going to be bending the knees anyway. So take a nice deep bend in towards the right knee, and then make the left leg as straight as you can. And then we're going to twist around towards the left, maybe reaching left arm up towards the ceiling. And continuing the left arm around the back. And then come up on towards your right toes, and then feed your right arm underneath that right leg. You might wrap it round, you might find your left hand. If you can make that bind, then maybe continue on to the next phase of the posture. We're starting to slowly work towards coming up to stand. So slowly coming up, take your time, absolutely no rush. If you fall out of it, just start again. If you find an upright standing position, then you found your balance, and you've got the space in the hamstrings, you might work towards straightening out that right leg. Bird of paradise. Bending back into the knee, lowering that right leg down, and then just take a forward fold, swaying from side to side. Just settle the body back down, ready for the other side. So this time planting the left hand in between, maybe slightly in front of the feet. Take a deep bend into the left knee, straightening in towards the right leg, reaching right arm up towards the ceiling. Taking the right hand around the back, coming onto the toes of the left foot, reaching left arm under, maybe taking your bind here. And then again working our way towards a standing position. Probably find one standing leg is better at this than the other. And once you've found your standing position, you've got some sort of balance, maybe working that leg towards straight. Lowering back down, taking it back down towards the floor, releasing off, and then take a step back towards a plank. Either immediately come into a child pose, or if you want to come through a flow, moving through your chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog, and then dropping the knees down towards the floor, lowering the bottom towards the heels, and then perhaps bringing the arms down by the side for this child pose, just giving the shoulders a bit of a rest. Slowly coming up out of your child pose, we're going to find our way to a seated position. So taking a seated position, taking the legs out in front, and then take a bend in towards the right knee, planting the foot on the floor, perhaps about parallel with the left knee. And then bending in towards the left leg, and just take the left ankle behind the right. So we're here. And then we're just going to visit the right hip, just making sure it's as open as it can possibly be. So maybe taking some of those hip circles, maybe taking some of that cradling, maybe lifting the leg up a bit higher. And then take your right hand and taking it underneath the right leg. So aiming the knee to come back behind the shoulder. It might not, you might be here, but as long as you're getting that nice hip opener. And you could stay here, you could work the leg, bending and straightening, or you might be able to find your right hand around the back and your left hand around, and you might be able to find the bind, like we did when we were stood up, just without worrying about balancing. If you've got your bind, again, you might play with straightening the leg. If you can't get the bind, or the bind doesn't feel nice, you might keep the right hand planted. You might prefer to hold on to the left foot or the right foot or ankle, and then straighten in towards that leg. Again, tuck in the shoulders to listen to your body. And then from whichever variation you took, just releasing off, straightening the legs out. Give them a bit of a shake, maybe a bit of a massage. And working into the other side, so bending in towards the left knee and have the foot about parallel with the right knee, tucking the right foot behind the left. And then again, just opening the left hip a bit more, checking in. This is my tighter hip, so this is probably going to be a bit harder for me this side. And then taking your left arm underneath, so just seeing where you could go with that. Maybe again, straightening and bending the knee. Maybe working to see if you can take the bind. If you can take the bind, taking your compass variant here. You can't get the bind, again, if it's just not working for you, you don't like it. You might keep the left hand planted, holding on towards the left foot or ankle, and just taking this version. Releasing off from wherever you are, and just straightening the legs out again. Give them a bit of a massage. And then from here, just going to take a seated twist, a bit of a twist on the twist. So bending the right knee and taking the right foot over the left leg. Now you can either keep the left leg straight, or you could bend into the knee and bring the foot around by the bottom. So we're in half Lord of the Fish legs. Now instead of taking the left arm over and grabbing the foot like you might normally do, we're just going to hug the knee for now, taking the right hand behind, just gazing behind. Take a few breaths here. And then adding on to here, take the left hand and hold on towards the right foot. Now you might be able to lift that foot off the floor. You might be able to straighten the leg. Still having the gaze behind, you might lift the right arm. You might gaze towards the right fingertips, really stretching from the tips of the right fingers to the heel of the right foot. And then lowering the hand down, lowering the foot down, turning back centre, and then just releasing the legs off. Bending in towards the left knee, taking the left foot over the right, option to bend the right knee around. Going to take our twist, so hugging the left leg with the right elbow, taking left hand behind, gazing over the shoulder. Going on from here, take right hand, holding on towards probably the outside of the left foot. I think I forgot to say that last time. Lifting the leg up, maybe straightening, and then lifting right arm up, and then looking towards the fingertips of the left hand. You might not be able to straighten the left leg, it doesn't matter. and still do the posture with a bent leg. And then lowering left hand down, lowering left leg down, unwinding. I'm just going to take a regular forward fold from here, so legs out straight, hands down by the side, beginning in staff. Breathe in, reaching the arms up, and then if you're tight in the back of the hips or the hamstrings, you might want to soften the knees as you fold forwards, so folding from the hips, not the back, and just let the hands come to where they come. Perhaps take a breath in, lifting the chest, and then breathing out, folding down. Slowly coming back to an upright position, and then just making sure you're at the front end of the mat, so you've got space behind to lay back. And it might be useful if you do have a block to have one handy. Not essential, but just helpful. So lower yourself down towards the floor, and then when we get down towards the floor, coming into some twists from here. So picking up your right leg and just resting it gently on towards your left thigh, and then from here just bringing the knee in towards the chest if that's comfortable. You might even hold the back of the thigh and straighten the left leg up. You might want to hold a bit higher up the left leg, whatever feels best for you here. Lowering down, coming in towards a stretch for the IT band, so just allowing the legs to drop over towards the left, so the right foot's on the floor. Open the arms out to a T or a cactus shape, maybe turning to look over the right shoulder. Just let your neck go to where is comfortable, so if it would rather look straight up, then just take that. And if you have a problem with that right knee starting to drop over and fall in, you might take the left hand and gently press against that right leg, or you might prefer to hold on towards the ankle. Slowly coming back upright. And just take that right leg, and we're either going to stack the knees and drop back over into the twist, or we're going to take the right leg and cross it over the left leg at the thigh. Just scooch the hips over to the right slightly before twisting back over to the left. Twisted root's quite powerful, so you might rather just stack the knees in this. Then slowly bringing the legs back centre, releasing that hold, and just take the feet out mat wide, and just take a few windscreen wiper movements with the hips before coming into the left side, so taking left ankle on towards the right thigh, and then bringing the knees in, holding around the shin, maybe the back of the thigh, straighten the leg. You may reach higher up that right leg. Making sure the hips aren't lifting off the floor. Lowering down, allowing the left foot to come over towards the floor, turning the gaze over the left shoulder, comfortable, either having the arms in that cactus or T shape, or gently pressing against that left thigh, or holding on towards the left ankle. and then just taking the knees up high enough in order to either stack them or wrap the left thigh over the right, and just come scooch the hips over to the left, coming back into that twist. Slowly coming back centre, releasing the left leg from the right, and again just taking that windscreen wiper effect. I'm going to come into our waterfall pose from here. So this is where the block might be handy. You might not particularly want it, so the option is to use the block. You just place it underneath the hips on its lowest setting. You have to fiddle about a bit to find the right place for you, and then once it's under there, lifting the legs up, taking your waterfall pose from here. If it doesn't feel comfortable to have the block, or you don't have one, just take the hands underneath the back of the hips and lift the legs up that way. So just choose whichever way feels best. Just with the block, can be a bit more restorative. It's a bit like having the legs up the wall. If you do have a wall nearby and you want to take yourself over to the wall, then by all means do legs up the wall here instead. And just do what you want with the legs. You could leave them straight, you might want to take them wide, you might want to take them into a butterfly shape, you might simply want to leave them straight up towards the ceiling. Try not to lock the legs straight, so the legs are straight but not forced straight. Let's be a little bit restorative. Checking in with the breath. Is it an easy breath? Is it a quiet breath? Take as long as you want here. Please feel free to just end the video, because it's only Shavasana after this, and you may want to end the video anyway for Shavasana if you want to take a bit of a longer one. Bending into the knees if you're staying with me, and we're lowering back down towards the floor, and then remove anything that you put underneath the hips. And now we are going to come into Shavasana, so taking your final resting position. I'll probably give you a few minutes in this posture, then I'll chime the bell to finish the practice, but by all means just come out of the video and take the Shavasana as long as you like. You're at home, so it doesn't really matter. starting to take some more energizing breaths. If it's the morning, you might want to really focus on energizing the body, ready to continue with your day. If it's the evening, you might just want to give yourself enough energy to move, but staying calm, ready for bed. And then just start to bring small movements in towards the body, so fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. And then you might want to take a full body stretch, or you might want to hug the knees into the chest, and then choose a side that feels good to roll over to. Taking a moment there before finding your way round to a seated position. And then once you're in your seated position, reach the arms up towards the ceiling, touching palms together collectively, bringing hands down towards the centre of chest, and namaste. Thank you for practicing with me. Goodbye.